Hey guys, Ryan Lutz here with Tekno RC, and today I'd like to show you how to build your shocks emulsion style. Alright, first thing we want to do is prepare the components that need prepared before we build the shocks. So we're going to take the O-ring and we're going to place that onto the shock body. Then there is one more O-ring that goes onto the 4mm screw that goes in the bleeder hole. And we also need to drill a hole into the plastic shock cap. So inside the bleeder hole, you're just going to want to drill a hole in here. I like to use a 2mm drill bit and simply drill through a hole. Then you want to take any flashing that might happen in here and you want to clean that out. Make sure that's all smooth inside. See where that hole is. Alright. Then we're going to fill the shock with oil. And I like to let that bleed for a second or get some of the bubbles out. This one I've already got done. So what I like to do is I'm going to pull the boot down so that way we get the shaft all the way up when we're building it. And then I'm going to fill the shock completely full of oil to where it's actually over the top just a little bit, so it's bubbling over. So we have a little bit of overage here. Next you're going to take your plastic cap, and I like to start it counterclockwise to get it to seat onto the threads, and then you can start to thread it clockwise. You just want to be careful not to strip these out. So once it's all the way on, snug it up by hand. Then I like to hold the shock at a 45-degree angle with the bleeder hole at the top and start to push the shaft up slowly. Oil will start to come out. So I have a rag to continually wipe it off and push the shaft all the way in. Next you're going to take that 4mm screw and screw that into the cap. You might want to do this before you build them for the first time just to make sure you don't strip these out as well. Okay, once that's snug in there, you're going to want to pump the shock 30 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20. And this next process you're going to want to do quickly. You're going to leave the shaft fully extended. You're going to take the screw out one more time. Again, push the shaft up with the bleeder hole to the top. And as long as you put enough oil in, you should have more oil coming out with a little bit of air bubbles as well. That's your emulsion of oil and air. And quickly put the screw back in. And that's it. It's a pretty easy build, building the emulsion shocks. So do a couple pumps and you should be able to see that it's built pretty dead. Very little rebound and very little retracement. And so you can put the boot back on. Now the one thing to watch out for is if you're traveling or if you're going from temperature extremes, you're going to want to make sure your shocks aren't hydrolocking. That would mean if you push the shock up, say halfway, and it stops and you feel like resistance against it, it's hydrolocking. This can happen if you go from a cold temperature to a hot temperature. The air inside expands and takes up more volume, and thus it stops. So you want to make sure before you go out to the track for the first time when you go into your club race or your next event, just make sure that your shocks push all the way up freely. That way they're working properly and you're ready to go. So I appreciate you watching the video. Hope you come back for some more and hope the emulsion shocks work well for you. I also wanted to note that the reason we're really running the emulsion shocks, we found that they give a little bit better traction. They seem to be better in the rough tracks and just seem to be a little bit more consistent over long runs. So they've worked really well for us and I hope they work well for you too. So again, thanks for watching and come back again. Take care. Bye.